The other big story from the week gone by, of course, has been unfolding around the National Assembly Speaker, the fourth woman Speaker of the National Assembly, according to many, falling on her sword. Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula's stint as the country's Madam Speaker was cut short after her arrest on Thursday on allegations of corruption. She's facing 12 counts ranging from corruption, money laundering and racketeering emanating from the time when she was Defence Minister. Now, in her affidavit, where she requested that she be granted bail, she listed a number of reasons why prisons would be unsuitable for her, saying they were riddled with violence and were unhygienic. Let's continue with our reaction to the story. Bring in now Lawson Naidoo, who's with the Council for the Advancement of the South African Constitution. That's KSAC, and joins us via our video link. Lawson, it's lovely to see you. Thanks for your time and patience. And what a week it was, right? I mean, and when we think about the series of events that have unfolded, it wasn't just about having accountability for what took place all those many years ago, but it was also a test for the country's legal system, whether in fact we are all equal under the law.
Good morning, Ayanda. Thank you very much. Well, I think it is quite clear that, if we look at the judgment from Judge Potterell on Tuesday, which dismissed the application to interdict the NPA from effecting the arrest, the judge made it clear that, everyone must be treated equally before the law. There are no special circumstances for somebody simply because they hold high political office. And one is to hope that the process that will unfold now with the next hearing date set for early June and the trial that will follow thereafter, will be conducted in this equality before the law, fairness in the adjudication, and the determination of the guilt or otherwise of the accused persons. And we know from yesterday that the NPA have indicated that a second accused person will be added to the docket in due course.
Yeah, the NPA also indicating from the very beginning, really, that they don't intend opposing bail. But there's still so much reaction and chatter about the reasons why Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula reckoned that she should be granted that bail. Part of what she mentioned there is that, prisons are ill-equipped, they're overcrowded, they aren't able to respond to her health needs. And in one way, I suppose there was no real consequence to legally what might happen. In other words, she was always going to be granted that bail. But when it comes just to the optics of the moment, I mean, really difficult for many South Africans to take that in, that someone like the National Assembly Speaker, who's very aware of the conditions of the prisons, is citing those very issues for reasons why she shouldn't be there.
Yeah, look, I think the first point to make is that the question of bail is a question for the court to determine. So whilst Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula requested that bail be granted, which it was, and that the NPA did not oppose the application for bail, ultimately it is the decision of the court as to whether or not bail be granted in the circumstances. I think the argument about the conditions of the prisons is really self-serving and quite ironic, given that Mapisa-Nqakula herself served as a Minister of Correctional Services in the past, would be fully aware of the conditions inside our prisons, and had the opportunity when she was minister to improve those conditions. So for her to seek to use the argument now, firstly, that she should be granted bail on the basis that the conditions in prison would not be to her satisfaction. But what was perhaps even more revealing was the fact that she said that, despite protesting her innocence, she said that, even if ultimately she is found guilty, she shouldn't be, given a custodial sentence, and that she should be able to serve any sentence, effectively under house arrest. Now, that's something, again, for the trial court to determine in terms of the sentence and how that sentence will be served.
Absolutely. But it is extraordinary, Lawson, isn't it? At least when it comes to just how some of these leaders view themselves in relation to anybody else, even in court.
Yep. I mean, I think, this was again revealed in her application for the interdict against the NPA. she used the argument as at the time that she was still Speaker, that the third most important office holder in the country should not be arrested by the NPA. And I think, the court dealt with that, as I said earlier, quite categorically. And I think, the basis of our law is that we must all be treated equally before the law, and that there should be no special dispensation for someone simply because they might have held political office in the past. And one is to hope that the trial that will ensue, the proceedings before the court, will adhere to those principles of equality before the law and deal with the seriousness of the allegations and the charges that Mapisa-Nqakula now faces, which are incredibly serious charges. And, a charge of corruption, if on conviction, there's a minimum of a 15-year jail sentence that comes with that. So those are the processes we need to monitor to ensure that there is fairness in the process and that a just trial is conducted.
Yeah, what shouldn't be lost to us, of course, Lawson, is just the momentousness of this moment. I can't seem to recall a former speaker sitting in the dock for alleged corruption. Something ought to be said about that, just when you think about the stature of the role that she held.
Well, indeed. I mean, I think, and that's why the resignation was welcome, albeit, I think, belatedly. But it, did serve to try and remove the accused person from the institution that we place so much trust in as part of our democratic foundations. It's a body that we elect our representatives to hold the executive to account, to pass legislation, to allow our voices to be heard through our elected representatives, that institution must be led by people who are fully beyond reproach. And given the serious allegations, it was only appropriate that she should resign. But I think it serves a lesson for the future as well. This may have been the first time that a speaker has been, or a former speaker has been arrested, but we need to ensure that in the future, those elected to such offices in the National Assembly, as well as in the National Council of Provinces, are people of the kind of stature that will ensure the respect and dignity for those institutions. And I think this is a reflection that we've fallen short in that regard with the recently departed speaker.
Absolutely. Lawson Naidoo, always great getting your reaction to these developments. Thank you for your time. Lawson Naidoo is Executive Director at CASAC.